Hello, and welcome to another Rambling review from Adventures in TV Land. For today's Rambling review, we're going to discuss Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, we find ourselves in nowhere at the beginning of the movie. It opens with this long moving montage played to song of Rocket. He's sitting on the steps and he's getting up and walking across. You see the various characters there, members of the Guardians, and they're, setting things up, and he walks into this bar where we see Peter Quill basically almost passed out drunk. He actually does pass out a few moments later, passes out from drinking because he's been so sad and depressed over having lost Gamora and not being able to find her and not being able to win her back. A few moments later, we see this, almost looks like a rocket comes flying through, actually grabs a rocket, and it's not a rocket, Adam Warlock, and he's trying to kidnap Rocket, and this fight ensues, and something happens, and Rocket's life is in danger, and so the Guardians have to go out and find a way to save Rocket, and they have a limited amount of time to do so. This eventually leads to meeting the villain of this movie, the High Evolutionary, but he has spent generations creating creatures and various races and different things like that. You learn through the movie the High Evolutionary is Rocket's creator, and he wants Rocket back. So that is the conflict of the movie. It's set up. The Guardians are trying to save Rocket's life, whereas High Evolutionary wants Rocket back, dead or alive. I've liked all the Guardians movies. The first one I really liked. I was surprised by how much I liked it. It's kind of an offbeat premise with characters most people never heard of, but James Gunn, he did a really good job of tying those things together, bringing out the different personalities. There was an element of sacrifice involved in there. The stakes were higher than some of the other Marvel movies. It connected really well it was grounded. The second movie I didn't like quite as much. There was sacrifice involved in that movie as well. There was also, throughout the theme kind of running throughout this series, this trilogy, is the love of these characters that they have for each other. They were not a born family, but they were a family. And I like this movie is a little bit darker than the previous two films. In all honesty, I would not take little kids to see this film. There's a reason this movie is rated PG-13. There are things that happen that will really tear at your heartstrings. The movie overall wraps up rather nicely, and this saga of Guardians of the Galaxy comes to a close. That's not to say there won't be other Guardians of the Galaxy movies, that the Guardians won't show up in other films, but the way they will show up, it won't necessarily be the same Guardians. Some of them will be, some of them won't. And new adventures, a new team. Maybe someday they'll all get back together again. They'll make an appearance somewhere else. This film ties up, and it is the end of this group of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So if you've watched the previous two films, if you like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, if you like any of these characters, I highly recommend you go out and seeing this film. It is the best Marvel movie that has come out since Spider-Man No Way Home. It's very well written. The acting is excellent. The characters do a good job. You see character development is really done well. I really liked it. I'm still, in my mind, processing the film, where I would rank it with the three films. You would like to see more with these characters and with the story, but you know that the story that needed to be told has been told. And that is the case here with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. My only negative thing about the film, I think it was a little bit too long. It's about 2.5 hours. I think James Gunn, he took a few liberties that he did not take earlier in the other two films, that he gave himself just a little bit more room to play. So there are sequences they probably could have been tightened up. They could have cut a little bit of the soundtrack, not cut the songs out, but not play the full songs. There's a lot of music in this movie, that's played throughout. Some of that could have been condensed a little bit, and it could have tightened things up and shortened the movie. It should really honestly be about a 2 hour and maybe 15 minutes, maybe 2 hour and 10 minutes range, really. I can overlook those indulgences because it is done well, but there will be a part in the movie, there's a certain segment where it doesn't feel boring, but it does seem a little bit long and kind of drags out. Definitely one of the best comic movies that come out in the past few years. Definitely since Spider-Man No Way Home. This has been another Rambling review from Adventures in TV Land. Thank you for watching. Until next time, that's a wrap.